Greetings Petrol heads, welcome back to Automation, the car company tycoon game. Yesterday the Orca won, and today we are gonna be looking at the Ravager Requiem, no, not the Requiem, the Goliath from Musty Manguy. We're gonna have the Brute by Sergeant Snoopy and the Petrol ALTC by Rush D. So let's look at the first truck for today. So this is a pretty, more like European looking truck, I guess, or maybe like Japanese truck. This doesn't look very much like an American truck, but you know, it doesn't have to. Nobody said it had to. And pretty interesting rear end design for a truck, but you know, looks weren't part of the judging criteria for this competition, so it's okay. So we have an AHS steel ladder chassis, corrosion resistant steel panels, 4x4 drivetrain, a 6-speed automatic double wishbones up front, leaf springs in the rear. We have 425 horsepower from a 6-liter naturally aspirated V8. And let's check out the engine. Now this is a very top-heavy engine tune. It's a full ALSI 6-liter V8 with 5 valves per cylinder. We have forged steel crank, forged H-beam pistons, and forged H-beam conrods and forged pistons. Everything's forged, so we got 52 cam profile, which is actually not as aggressive as this would make it look. But we also have +5 quality in the engine head section, which does tend to make things a little bit sharper and a little bit more top heavy. Also, this engine only revs to 5500 RPM, so the peak torque at around 4000 RPM isn't as high as this graph would make it look, just because 4000 is closer to the red line than on most engines. Naturally aspirated, of course. Multi-point injection, twin configuration, performance intake, 14.6 to 1 fuel mixture, 5500 RPM rev limit, a single exhaust pipe, long tubular headers, 2 reverse flow mufflers, 425 horsepower, 426 pound-feet of torque, but at 2000 RPM you don't get very much, and before that you get even less, of course, and that's really the sort of area where a truck engine should have a lot of torque. So let's see. 6-speed automatic viscous limited slip diff, +5 quality in here. 2 45mm tires up front, 2 65s in the rear, 19-inch alloy rims, and a decent amount, but not a huge amount of tire tread. We've seen larger, but you know, this should be fine. 6 piston vented discs up front, 2 piston vented discs on the rear, and a semi-clad under tray. Barely insufficient cooling for whatever reason. 5 seats, luxury interior and sat nav, +4 quality in entertainment and advanced safety. Then we have progressive springs, semi-active dampers and active sway bars. So we have 66.1 drivability, which is quite good actually, one of the better drivability stats we've seen. 61.6 comfort is slightly below average, I think. Prestige 49.1 is good. Practicality and utility of 78.5 and 78.9 are also quite good, or at least pretty much as expected. And economy is also pretty much as expected. Now the price is $53,400. That's not too expensive actually. So what are the strengths of this truck? Definitely the drivability and all around solid practicality and utility, although it's not outstanding. And the price is, you know, it's decently well priced, but the one thing that's, in my opinion, kind of holding this truck a little bit back is the lack of low-end torque, which you really want on a truck. And it's not as comfortable as some of the other entries, although 61.6 objectively speaking is still pretty good. So let's see what the Brute is like. Now that's a fancy looking truck, lots of chrome, and the light bar and the sunroof, and the exhaust right there. Yeah, so this kind of exhaust setup would get you banned in some countries, I think. It'll also kind of get in the way of the bed, you know, like loading lots of stuff on the bed, because you can't put anything that might melt close to the exhaust, and that's kind of a that's kind of a disadvantage if you really want to be transporting lots of things. So we have an AHS steel ladder chassis, corrosion resistant steel panels, 4x4 drivetrain, 6-speed automatic, double wishbones up front and multi-link rear suspension. And then we have 425 horsepower coming from a 7.7 liter V8. Let's check it. Let's check that one out. So this is what I meant. This is low RPM torque for you. This is what the Ravager Goliath didn't have. Then again, it also wasn't a 7.7 liter, but a 6 liter instead. But in any case, this is a full cast iron 7.7 liter V8 with a single overhead cam 4-valve per cylinder setup, and this engine is heavy. Obviously, a 7.7 liter full cast iron engine is gonna be quite a huge thing, and quite a heavy thing, of course, as well. Forged steel crank, I-beam steel conrods, forged pistons, 23 cam profile, providing lots of low RPM torque, multi-point injection single configuration performance intake, very rich fuel mixture that's gonna increase torque and power, but it's also gonna mean that this truck is probably gonna use a massive amount of fuel. Much more so than most of the other trucks. Long turbo headers, a single exhaust pipe, 2 baffled mufflers. Again, I'm not quite sure what the advantage of those is compared to a reverse flow muffler, which would make comfort much higher. So let's check out the other stats and the other components. 6-speed automatic viscous limited slip diff, 275mm tires on 18-inch steel rims, and 4 piston vented discs up front, 3 piston vented discs on the rear with +4 quality. We have quality in the gearbox section as well. And then off-road skid tray. This car actually does decently off-road. 49.7 is good. Why did he change the wing angles? Do these count? Like this chrome bumper up front? Oh, he actually has a lip up over here. But does this count as an aerodynamics fixture? I don't think it does. It shouldn't, at least. And neither should this huge chrome bumper on the front. But in any case, just barely enough cooling airflow. And then luxury interior and sat-nav, +4 quality in the driver assist and entertainment section, and advanced safety. Hydro pneumatic springs and off-road sway bars actually. And +4 quality in here as well. So 66.6 drivability is, well, the devil's number, but it's also a really good stat here. So is the 70.0 comfort. That's huge. And 51.6 prestige is very good as well. Now, as I imagined though, the trade-off is definitely below average practicality and utility, and that's down to the multi-link rear suspension. With leaf springs or coil springs, these two would have been a lot better. And off-road would be a little bit better as well. And the other thing is that while economy isn't necessarily a priority on these trucks, I think it is worth pointing out that this one uses at least 50% more fuel than most other trucks that we've seen in the competition so far. And at that point, I think when you're talking about another 10 liters per 100 kilometers on top of what the other trucks are using, I think then it is worth pointing out. The price for this one is $56,550, so that's not too expensive, and it actually does really well in utility, sport, luxury, and just the luxury categories. But as a truck, I think it lacks a little bit in practicality and utility, and it uses a massive amount more fuel than any other truck we've seen so far. And I think at that point it is worth mentioning. Alright, so let's check out the last truck for today. The Petrol ALTC. So this is kind of a Japanese looking truck. I think the first thing that came to mind when I saw this was kind of Nissan Navara somehow. I don't know, it doesn't really look that similar to it, but I guess the general feel to it. Although I might be completely mistaken on that and, well, prove once again that I'm an idiot. I like this. I like the Petrol riding on the back and the spare wheel. It kind of looks like you took a sort of Land Rover and then turned it into a Ute. That's why it has the light bar for going off-road. That's why it has the spare wheel on the back. But I like it. Also the color choices. Interesting. Unique at least. So let's see what this is made of. AHS steel leather chassis, corrosion resistant steel panels, 4x4, 7-speed automatic, double wishbones up front, multi-link rear suspension, and then 421 horsepower from a 6-liter V8. Now that's also a pretty nice torque curve. Not massive amounts of low RPM torque either, but therefore it has a longer rev band than the Ravager Goliath. This is a full aluminium dual overhead cam 4-valve per cylinder V8. I was kind of getting confused with the VVL here. It does have VVL. Forged steel crank, I-beam steel crown rods, forged pistons, +5 quality on the bottom end. Will it make any problems if you didn't have that? No. It just helps with reliability, I guess. 24 cam profile and 49 VVL profile. Makes, I mean, it's an okay amount of low RPM torque. But it also helps keep up the torque in the mid RPM range. Multi-point injection, single configuration, standard intake, 7,000 RPM rev limit, 2 reverse flow mufflers and long tubular headers. This is a pretty well balanced engine. It doesn't have as much low RPM torque as you would think it would make for a truck engine. I can definitely see this being used in like a big, you know, sports sedan or something, this engine. But let's see how it works for this truck, because it's definitely not a bad engine by any means. So, wow, lots of overdrive, actually just 1 gear of overdrive. So, manual locker diff, so that's good for off-road. But how many people take their luxury trucks off-road? Not many, right? Hard long life road tires, 245s up front, 255s on the rear, 18-inch steel rims, and then 6 piston vented discs up front, 3 piston vented discs on the rear. Fully clad under tray, enough cooling, even have some brake airflow as well. And then we got luxury interior, luxury sat nav, all driver assists, and +5 quality in the entertainment and driver assist section, and then advanced safety. Hydro pneumatic springs, active sway bars, and that gives us 67.5 drivability, which is among the highest we've seen so far, I think. Definitely up there. 74.3 comfort. Wow, that is the highest we've seen, unless I'm horribly mistaken. Like, this is an amazing amount of comfort. And then prestige 49.2 is good. Practicality and utility are again below average though, and that's again down to the multi-link rear suspension. So that is definitely something that is gonna be holding this truck back a little bit compared to most of the others when it comes to its loading capabilities. The economy, like, look, this is what I meant. The Brute used like 29.5 liters. This uses 16.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So this, like, the Brute uses nearly twice as much fuel, and it doesn't make twice as much power. It doesn't have twice as much capacity or torque or drivability or really anything. And this truck costs $52,050, so it is the cheapest of the three we've seen today. And it does have the highest drivability, the highest comfort, not the highest prestige, but and the prestige of 49.2 is still good. Practicality and utility are a little low for a big truck like this, but they're about the same as the last truck that we've seen, the Brute. And I don't know, personally I don't think that multi-link rear suspension generally is a good fit on a truck that's also meant to be, you know, used as a, well, a truck like it is. So on that front, this and the Brute are both using the multi-link rear suspension, which isn't 100% ideal, but they do make really good drivability and comfort. And this one is better at both of those things, and it uses so much less fuel that I think it is actually becoming sort of relevant. Maybe this should win, or should the Ravager Goliath win? Now I know what you're gonna be saying. This makes like 13 less comfort, and that's true, but it makes a lot more utility and practicality. And again, these are trucks. This is, you know, a key component of what makes a truck. So I'm actually not quite sure which one of these three should win. Maybe you guys have a better idea of which one of these three is best, and let me know in the comment section below. And hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again tomorrow with the 5th and final shootouts round, I guess. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Goodbye.